Hi, my name is KarenEJones and welcome to my program. Today's guest is Dorothy Torrey. Dorothy is an alkaline lifestyle coach and a food educator, and she's going to talk to us today about how it's really important to eat proper foods that can affect your health, and also about Dr. T. His full name is Dr. Adil Tel-Arin, who's coming to Sandwich in September at Oak Ridge School. Dorothy, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's so wonderful to have you here at my home and to have this time with you. Thank you. For me, how I have reversed cancer is by embracing the imbalances in my life. My imbalances and insults, the abuses, looking at relationships, looking at how I work. And only from that place and coming from my heart. Before I used to come from my head, and the mind only gives me fear, doubt, and judgment. That's the only thing it's going to give me consistently, because it's wired that way to do that. The heart that I found will give me my highest wisdom. But when I started cleaning up my inner terrain, learning about alkalinity, and this doctor, Otto Warburg, who won 2 Nobel Prizes, okay, says, you know, cancer doesn't grow in an alkaline environment. And I started embracing that and saying, tell me more. That's why when I went up to Dana-Farber, and then 2 years later to Faulkner, and then 2 years later to Beth Israel, what they were asking me to do didn't make sense. It just didn't speak to my truth. And everyone has a different path,
right.
You know, so I'm not saying that people, but I have 2 sisters who have passed away of cancer. My best friend, my sister last year, my other sister 5 years ago. And the first time that I've been involved with cancer was with my ex-mother-in-law back in 1970 when she died of cancer in our home. And this is with my first husband, and it scared the living daylights out of me. So of course, oh, someone has cancer, hello, but I'm out the door.
Right.
I mean, you know, because it's given as a death sentence. And that's how I always treated it. I happened to hear someone in Connecticut back in 2002, and she talked about a different lifestyle, about bringing the body back into balance and alkalinity. And I said, that's what I'm going to do. If I ever get cancer, which I won't get, I will bring my body back into balance. And lo and behold, about half a year later, I got the diagnosis of cancer. And because my children love me, and my daughter's an attorney up in Boston, she says, Mom, you must go to the best. So I went up to Boston, and they said, you know, lumpectomy, radiation, chemotherapy, and drugs. And I was able to say, for the first time in my life, stand on my 2 feet, which I haven't been able to do before, and say, no, I'm going to change my lifestyle. And that was the beginning of everything.
So then you were diagnosed with breast cancer, but you chose not to have any traditional medical treatment?
Right.
Okay.
And I never thought.
And how did the physicians react to that? Because normally, I would suspect, knowing quite a few oncologists, they probably thought, Dorothy, what are you doing?
That's exactly.
Yeah.
And when you're
family and friends probably thought that as well, saying, what on earth are you doing? Why are you choosing an alternative path?
It was not easy. And I said, no. I said, this is what I'm going to do. And they said, and the doctor was wonderful. It's not, you know, she was caring so forth. She says, I don't care, these were her words, I don't care if you feel that you are healed. We still want you to come back and have lumpectomy, radiation, chemotherapy, and drugs. And I said, thank you. And I went on my way. And I made it a point to not talk to certain people because it was draining my energy and I would have to explain myself. And that's not the healing mode for healing your body, having energy drain. And
so you'd have to explain your decision and probably justify it as well.
And I I was not a person that could make decisions and could stand on my own 2 feet. I was not a woman that had self-esteem. I was raised as a woman, as a person, well, you're just a girl, you don't know anything, listen to me. And so this is my path, my growth, my transformation, which I'll be forever, ever grateful for, because I never thought that I could love the person who I'm becoming. I was diagnosed with suicidal depression in 1996 through 2002. I was on medication. I was at the bottom of the well. I knew it wasn't true, but I couldn't find the answers. I went looking and looking. I went to different doctors, looking for medication, looking for things that would work. And one day I was such at the bottom of the well, and in Scott F. Peck's, or F. Scott Peck's book, The Road Less Traveled, on that first page, I remember he wrote, "Life is difficult, and once you accept it, it becomes easier." And I said, I was really crying that day. I said, I really got to make my life easier. I got to make it easier. And I said, I guess I will just have to accept that I will have suicidal depression for the rest of my life. And I called up a spiritual coach of mine from Unity here on Cape Cod in Hyannis, and I spoke to Patricia, and I said, Patricia, you know, I guess I have to just accept that this is how it is. I want my life to be easier. And she introduced me to an alkaline lifestyle, bringing the body back into balance.
Okay.
And so because of her, I started eating more live vegetables, green drinks, really alkaline green drinks, studying. And I wrote a letter to my doctor up in Boston to tell him what has happened to me. And this is so interesting. I was at Stop and Shop at the red light, and I'm waiting at that red light, and I said, oh God, I'm so happy because I had my life.
Yeah.
Okay, and I didn't have to take any more medication. I said, God, if you want me to do this work, you got to tell me. I mean, if you bring me people in so I can do this work, you know, should I share this with others? I drove home. There was a message on my answer machine. It was from a woman called Judith. She said, I was just at Dr. So-and-so office. He read me your letter, and he would like you to, you know, work with me, help me out. I've been a patient of his for 18 years. I got an email from the doctor from Boston, because that's how we also communicated by email. He said, continue with what you're doing. I'm sending you a patient. And I said to myself, thank you. I said, then this is the work I'm supposed to do. Wow, my whole life started. So I delved deeper and deeper. Then I did come up with a diagnosis of cancer because of stress, and I'm a workaholic and just different things, and my life was so out of balance, who I am. And when I said no to the Boston hospital, okay, I didn't know how I was going to pay for doing alternatives and what I wanted to do, and I didn't know, but I knew I had to follow my truth. I had to be, for the first time in my life, I had to be true to myself and not do what other people wanted me to do.
Right.
And what happened, my father did not know that I had a diagnosis. Nothing. 2 weeks later, after coming back from Boston, I get a letter in the mail, and there's a $10,000 check. And that's all, and it was from my father. What happened is that my mother passed away, and he sold her stocks, and he gave each of us $10,000. And I said to myself, I'm really supposed to do this.
Right. So that was another sign.
That was another sign. I learned to pay attention to the signs. If I can be still and pay attention, I will get signs. And I say to myself that miracles are an everyday occurrence when I'm staying in the now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's taken me 30 years to be in the present because I used to be so afraid of the future. I was always in the future and or in the past. And
all right, so let me just get back to what you were talking about, alkaline.
Yes.
That you feel as though you're an alkaline coach.
Yes.
And that's something that you subscribe to, is eating alkaline foods to prevent all sorts of ailments and to promote a healthy lifestyle.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that? You know, what is an alkaline food and how does that help you? Because I think people will want to know.
Okay. Well, our bodies have been designed, created to be alkaline,
Mm-hmm.
not acid. Okay. And our bodies have been created to be 7.365, the pH.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when we eat foods that are highly processed, that are dead food, that are cooked food, that are not live, that doesn't have a life force,
Mm-hmm.
that is acidic foods. Okay. Or your sodas are highly acidic. Your coffees, all those, you know, and yet I'm not saying, you know, you don't have your coffee and don't enjoy it, but people have 100% acidic foods and no foods that have a life force, that are alive, that have an energy, that have a megahertz around it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I eat a lot of green leafy vegetables
Mm-hmm.
that are high in water, low in sugar. Okay.
Uncooked.
Yeah, I love, and I do sometimes steam my food. I
Mm-hmm.
may saute it, but I eat a lot of life force. If I want energy, I want to fill my body with energy, with a life force. Okay, if I fill it with dead food, I'm not going to have any energy. I'm going to have fatigue. I'm going to be overweight. Okay, because when the body is acidic, what happens? The body goes into preservation mode. And let me explain that very quickly and shortly. That the body will start producing cholesterol
Mm-hmm.
in order to neutralize the acidic waste,
Mm-hmm.
so that the acids don't burn a hole in our vital organs or our blood vessels. So, you know, and I used to be 185 pounds. I used to have problems with weight. I thought that I was eating a healthy diet, all this, oh, I'm eating a good healthy diet, because I've been interested in health ever since I've been a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just say, I did go to Georgetown University School of Nursing. I didn't become a nurse, but I was always interested in science. So that's where I started out looking, understanding how the body is, okay? And so I just bring my body back into balance. And when I did, guess what? 45 pounds dropped off like that. It was the easiest 45 pounds I ever lost.
Wow. Can you give me some examples of other alkaline foods? Like, what about meats and fishes and things like that? Is that
Okay,
something that you couldn't eat?
okay, it's not things that I couldn't eat. I can eat it, but there's not a life force in it.
Okay.
Okay, and it putrefies in my body. I love knowing that my red blood cells are clean and have a right electrical charge. I have seen my live red blood cells. I've seen the condition of them. I've seen them when they've been dirty and stacked up like gooey coins.
Mm-hmm.
And so from seeing that and seeing beautiful white red blood cells that are making my new eyes, my new liver, my new kidneys with regeneration,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in intimate relationship with my body and the cells of my body, and it brings me so much joy. So the foods that I can eat fish from the readings that I do,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm not interested in putting more mercury or lead or arsenic or cadmium in my body. And I'm sorry to say, a lot of fish is filled with that. So it's not like I can't eat it. I've lost the desire for it because I'm knowledgeable about what has happened to our food. That's me. This is my path, and I love studying, and I love going deeper and deeper and seeing what we put in our body does affect who we are, does affect our energy. So I eat live food. If I wanted to have fish, I would have it, but I pick and choose, okay? I mainly eat live food, and I love it raw, and I saute it. I eat a lot of nuts and seeds and avocados and dandelions and kale, I mean, and beautiful red peppers. I love the fact that I could eat organic foods because of the amount of pesticides on our foods. I never thought that I could afford it before. I never thought I could afford it. Today, from what I know I cannot not afford it. That it's really cheaper for me to eat this way. So if I want ice cream, I will have ice cream knowing that it is acidic. But I know how to bring the body back into balance. If I need that comfort food, there's nothing that I deny myself, but I have it in balance. And it really works for me beautifully.
Right. So, you're a life coach. So tell me, if someone wanted to have a consultation with you, take me through that. And how do they get in touch with you? And what types of things do you do?
Okay. Okay.
Because I think that a lot of people would be interested in exactly if they call you up and say, hey, Dorothy, I need some coaching, on nutrition, etc. So.
Okay. When they call me, okay, I want to know their commitment, okay, where they are coming from. And it's okay if someone is starting way at the bottom, but when they are looking, but if people are saying, well, I got to see what my doctor has to say about this. They're not really in charge of their life. There's an old French saying that if we are not our own doctor by the age of 40, we are a fool. We know our bodies the best. Okay, so I would ask this person to write down how much water they drink. A lot of people don't drink water at all, okay? And what foods they drink. I would also like to know something about their lifestyle and so forth, because it's a way of life. I don't have a diet. I have a lifestyle that brings a life force. And so I take them, and I don't want people to continue to come here and take their money. Let them come once, twice, 3 times. That's it. Let them come to the potlucks where they're supported. I will give them the resources. I've reversed suicidal depression, severe osteoarthritis. They've been wanting to do, knee replacements for the past 7 years. Thyroidism. I had Lyme disease and breast cancer. I don't have an aspirin or over-the-counter drug in the house. It's not because I'm refusing it, but they all expired and I threw them out and I have no need for it. My husband nor myself. Because of bringing our bodies back to who we truly are. I worked with a man, he was our plumber here, a man 60 years old. He was a diabetic and he was putting in our heating system, and he came to me last year. I have his story written down that I'll tell. He was like this, and he says, Dorothy, they want to put me on insulin. And I said, Chuck, I said, how much water do you drink? Well, I'm drinking this water. And then I said, well, would you consider drinking this water? And that's the only thing I asked him to do for 10 days. In 10 days, he lost 12 pounds. He got off of all his medication. One was blood pressure pill that he was on for 40 years. His acid reflux disappeared. His yellow toenails and the pain in his hamstring disappeared. And then I started coaching him, and he came to the potlucks where there's support, and he hears other people, what they have done. So people learn from other people, not just from me, not just from me, but they want that support. Since I have embraced the reversal of cancer and healing it, this is where it's taken me, to this inner peaceful place. Believe me, I was a crazy woman before when my husband met me and so forth. I don't know what it was that he saw in me that he asked me out for a date. I don't know. I was going to Al-Anon. I was going through a very difficult, challenging divorce. I was up here. I was on food stamps, welfare,
So
and
you
the
were
whole
talking
bit.
to Stanley.
I mean,
right.
and then my husband, who was in real estate, he saw me and he asked me out for a date. And I don't know what he saw. I'm not the same woman, but he saw something in me, and I'll be forever grateful because we have a great, wonderful marriage. We've worked at it, but it's.
Does he follow your nutrition and?
You know what? This man who used to have chicken, baked potato, a frozen vegetable, Diet Coke, 27 different flavors of ice cream. Okay, that was what he did, you know. Okay, he has salads, and if you speak to him at least 5 times for breakfast, he makes a salad for breakfast, and he'll go out on the porch to eat it. Okay, because he's heard enough. He's been, you know, with people that I've had here, and so he has changed. But this is funny. When I had the diagnosis of cancer, I said to my husband, I said, and this is back in 2003, June, and he just got done having a triple bypass too. I said to Stanley, I said, Stanley, I can no longer cook for you. And he says, okay. And then my second statement, I said to him, I said, in fact, I can no longer buy the foods that you want to eat. I can't do that anymore. He says, okay, I'll do my own shopping. And so I was able to focus on myself, do my green smoothies, do my food, do a detox, and so forth. And he took care of himself. And since then, he has transformed.
Well, let's get around to Dr. Is it Adil or
ADL.
ADL Tell Oren.
Right. But now, you know what? You can call him Dr. T.
That makes it a lot easier.
Because
Dr. T.
Yeah.
Now he's coming to Sandwich in September. He'll be at the Oak Ridge School on the 21st, which is a Wednesday. Tell me how you met Dr. T and why it's important that people who are looking for an alternative lifestyle of eating, nutrition, and alkaline eating should go and see him.
Okay. I used to go up to Boston to the live food community, and I was very active there, going up there at least once a month, taking life force courses and so forth. And whenever there was someone good to bring down here, I mean, we had Deborah Coons Garcia here, and that was the wife of Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead. And we had a presentation on the future of food. I want to tell you, they only thought 20 people would show up. We had 120, and it was standing room only, and we had that at the Cultural Center, okay? And I've had Brian Clements here from the Hippocrates Health Institute, so I would bring in different people. My friend asked me if I wanted to host Dr. Tell Oren, and I said, well, let me check him out, because I don't want to bring anyone here. No, not any, I mean, because people's lives are at stake.
Right.
Okay, people's lives. I mean, I've done a lot of suffering, and I know what's out there, you know. So I checked his credentials. I go, wow, because he has a lot of initials after his name. He's done this. Is this man for true? I went to the where he taught. I checked to make sure that he's on the roster there, you know, because I wanted to make sure. And then after I checked it out, I said I would love to bring him. He came here January the 15th. And I was having a potluck. It just worked out fine. Okay, people were here. He stood right up there, where you know, and he talked, and people loved him. The next morning, He said, Dorothy, I would like to come back in May and give an all-day workshop on metabolic detoxification. He said, the people here need to hear this. And I said, wonderful, thank you very much. So we did that on May 7th. 42 people were here all day long. Okay, then he did skin clinic the next day. And now on September 21st, he's coming here to give a talk on how innocent foods destroy our health and how, let's say, like I thought that I was eating good foods and so forth, how these cause allergies, inflammation, sensitivities, and then can trigger the beginnings of chronic diseases. He is the best that I've seen in 20 years because I've traveled around and so forth. I mean, for me, he's the best that I've seen. He's approachable. His information is science-based. He's been trained in Russia, one of the leading medical schools. He's also trained in functional medicine, forensic medicine, oxidative stress, nutrition. He does eco-trekking in Nepal and India. He has orphanages there. He's a retired chiropractor. He's been a musician. He's been a man that has seen tragedy throughout the world with terrorists in his own country in Israel. But he's made a commitment to humanity. Love his Cape Cod coordinator. I mean, that he asked me to, and what a privilege, what a privilege. I want to present him to the world because if I had if I heard him, I wouldn't have gone through all the suffering that I had for 30 years to look at health. I mean, it wasn't until 2002 that I found out about bringing the body back into balance. And Dr. T gives information and people make choices and it's up to them. But, you know, if not this time, it's a beginning, you know, for them to hear something different and for them to think and not to be dependent on a medication or a pill to do the work in taking care of themselves.
Okay, now do people need to pre-register for this?
Oh yeah, yes, thank you for asking. Okay, this is going to be through the Sandwich Community School.
Okay.
So they can call up the number 508-888-5300 and register or go online to the Sandwich Community School. It is $20, okay? We're going to have it at the Oak Ridge School, and I would love to have standing room only. You know, I mean, I want as many people there because his information is vitally important and will change their life.
Right, and let's just quickly talk before we end about he's having a clinic the following day on Thursday.
Yes.
Removal of skin tags, moles, blemishes.
Yes.
And you had indicated before that the proceeds go to his orphanages.
Yes.
So you just tell us about that.
Okay. He has been doing this for 23 years, removing aging skin blemishes or tags or moles and so forth. And also people can go on his website because there's a short 3-minute video that explains it, and I could actually send them information too. But he will be doing it here at my home on the 22nd. People need to call up for appointments, and any of the net profits do go to support his orphanages. So
if they want to get in contact with you, Dorothy, for nutritional food coaching, how do they reach you? Okay,
they can call me at 508-888-6677. Go to my website that is being revamped right now, Path to Vibrant Health, or email me at dorothy@pathtovibranthealth.com.
Okay, super. Dorothy, thanks so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
And we hope that we'll get some people there on
okay,
in September.
And thank you very much for this opportunity to share.
You're welcome.
It's been inspiring to me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.